Arsenal beat Tottenham with an utterly determined and ruthless display of quality. While the attack didn't exactly click, the defence absolutely did and stood by each other to get Arsenal a massive victory away at Tottenham for the third time in a row. One of the key players in that defence was Jurrien Timber, who I believe had his best game for Arsenal so far and has finally arrived in the capital. So in this video, we're going to break down his performance, so let's get into it. Now, Jurrien Timber's time at Arsenal so far has definitely been unlucky. Come in with a massive injury and unfortunately didn't play at all last season, and this year he's tried to find his way within the side and has had to play multiple roles to find a spot within the starting 11. And although he has been playing left back on paper, he has been more playing in a double pivot and even an attacking pivot with Partey in that midfield, being able to progress the ball forward, which sometimes he has done well, better than other games he has. Now in this game, I think that Arsenal maybe wanted to play Calafiori. It is maybe quite clear with Arteta's comments about injuries that Calafiori was also a big miss with Odegaard for the tactics of this game. However, Jurrien Timber did play in left back anyway, and I think he was arguably one of Arsenal's best players on the day and has definitely cemented that spot, at least for now, which is crazy considering it's probably the third best position that Timber's actually good at. Now in this game, I think Jurrien Timber was brilliant off the ball but also great on the ball. Specifically off the ball, if you look at his average position, I like how it is spaced out from everyone else, showing that he can take responsibility to take that area, and it's also very much wider. I think some of the issues we had against Aston Villa is that he was central the whole time inverting and couldn't actually offer anything as an overlap for the left winger and allow them to actually get the ball through, which he did in this game and was very good of attacking outlet as well as a defensive one. Now without the inclusions of Declan Rice and Odegaard, who are obviously injured and suspended, Arsenal definitely had to set off a little bit from Tottenham. They did last year, to be fair, with these players anyway, and let Tottenham have a lot of the ball. This means they had to be at the start very aware of the wingers getting in behind, especially with the high line that Arsenal play. So Timber was actually wider, trying to cover Brennan Johnson quite early on, and I feel like he did a really good job at it. And one of the main things, I think the reason why this was so good is his positioning, especially in the box. Now this is sometimes the problem we have got with playing people like Zinchenko there. They're not a great one-on-one defender, and I'm going to admit that Brennan Johnson probably isn't the best winger he's going to go against this year. However, it was quite clear that he understood what Brennan Johnson was good at, trying to shoot a ball across the goal, and there was multiple times where he would get into the right position to block the shot that was coming in by Brennan Johnson, even if he had got in. Although Brennan Johnson got into some good positions, Timber kind of limited him and he did absolutely nothing, and I think it was a very calm performance from the fullback, which we need defensively in this game considering we didn't have the ball a lot. And because we had the double pivot of Jorginho and Partey, it did mean that Timber didn't really have to invert and he could play down that left hand side, which I actually think did help us, especially in the first half from an attacking sense down the left. There was many chances where with Tottenham's high line and the fact their wingers aren't the best one-on-one defenders as well, they were allowing Martinelli to get through and get a one-on-one where he could go past the player and even set a cross back post or obviously get a shot away. This was helped by the fact Timber was playing very wide in an attacking sense when Arsenal had the ball in settled possession, and they had players like Trossard actually running in from the midfield to that left side to cover. This gave us a triangle and many times between Martinelli, Trossard and Timber, and while that's not the best, at least they were making runs and getting into the right positions, and this has allowed Timber to get into the box a few times or go down the wing and put in a good cross or good chance for Arsenal as he would break forward. If Martinelli would come deeper, he would necessarily go long, and it did seem like a more satisfied left wing connection than we've had before on that side, and I definitely think with someone like Marino in the middle it could be even better. One of the things you really get from Timber is not just his off the ball work is great all around the pitch, especially I think when he doesn't have to keep inverting every 3 seconds, is that he also allows Arsenal to transition into a low block system. Now this could be maybe fine with Zinchenko if you put him upon the 3 midfielders, but you would probably have to bring another defender on to cover for that in the low block Arsenal like using. Later on in the game, Arsenal went to a 5-3-2, and this was to allow Tottenham to get the ball to the wingers and then slowly go out there with their numbers, with their midfielders and defenders helping each other to sort of nullify anything that Tottenham could do. I mean, they couldn't play through the middle and they would have to go out wide and cross the ball in, which a lot of the time Tottenham were only having around 2 players in the box compared to, of course, Arsenal's defence and midfield. Timber could play in that centre-back slot. He often played in the left centre-back slot when we did this 5-back system, with even Martinelli or Sterling when he came on tucking in and being next to him as that wing-back option. This is very vital because Timber's obviously brilliant in centre-back and he still doesn't mind them left-footed footed left half spaces where he can do them passes. This often meant that he could work with Martinelli to keep the ball with a lot of players around them and work with people like Havertz and Trossard coming back to also keep these triangles going. Just keeps a lot of connections going and makes sure that Arsenal can keep the ball if they are willing to get out of this low block and even break. There's a moment where Arsenal aren't being pressed from a goal kick, and this is later on in the game, and Timber passes it into Havertz, who's in the middle with two players around him, passes it off to Martinelli, who yet again has had to come deep with yet again being man marked, and Timber just takes that initiative to make that run himself. He continues his run where in the end they find him and he gets the ball forward for Arsenal down that left wing and the left hand side. In the end his cross doesn't work out, but this gives us at least a little bit of an attacking threat on the counter even when we are in a low block or mid block situation. So it's not just like we're shutting up shop, there's always an opportunity to break if we can do. And this is something that actually Calafiori will do a lot for Arsenal and probably what his role was specialised for within this game and within this team. But of course his injury has put him out and Timber has come in and encapsulated that moment. But he's also so good on the ball anywhere on the pitch. There was many times in defence when Odobert came on and he's pressing him very intently and Timber would just take the ball round him and pass it off like he isn't even there, especially in our final third. There was also a moment where he looks like he's going to pass it up. He doesn't see many options that he really wants to go for, so he just turns around and runs at the Spurs defenders and ends up making a through ball to Martinelli. Now I still don't think Martinelli got the best service in this game, but he got a lot better service with Trossard coming over and Timber making them runs and passes down the width, where you can actually argue that he finally got what he wanted in them key positions going forward. And not only is Timber a physical outfit in anywhere on the pitch, his running, his passing, his initiative to go forward, as well as being a strong defender, was definitely shown in this game, where he will fight for this position or could potentially fight for the right back position as well if he can offer Arsenal versatility within the attack and defensive line, which I think he did much better in this role where he didn't have to revert as much as he would against the teams like Aston Villa. And in this game I feel like he was used as a lot more of an attacking outlet than we have seen some of our left backs used before, and while he still came into the middle in certain aspects, him and Jorginho were the two players that were really required to pass the ball through for other players, which you saw a few times. Partey came back and moved more into the centre back sort of system, and his average position was very deep because of that, so this made Timber very important within the game, but also allowed him to go his attacking brilliance down the left hand side rather than always coming into the middle. It gave him a little bit more freedom while him still being effective at what he's good at. And I do think sometimes, and maybe in the future, you've got to look at some of his output and maybe he needs to get a little bit more clinicalness with good crosses and actual good final third balls, because in this game he had 0 out of 2 crosses and 0 out of 4 accurate long balls. A lot of the time he was trying very hard things, and I think he was overall doing some positive work to go forward while we were sitting there defending, which I'm never going to say no to. And in this game he still made 4 passes into the final third, made a 1 out of 2 successful dribbles, 3 touches in the opposition box, while defensively having an absolute monster game. 10 defensive actions, 5 recoveries, 1 interception, 1 headed clearance, 1 block, 2 out of 3 tackles made. That is a key defensive performance while still offering a lot of good things going forward, which I think has been his best performance in an Arsenal shirt so far. Let me know what you guys think about Jurrien Timber's performance, and let me know, do you think he should start in the next run of games, or would you like to see Calafiori if he's fit, or even Tomiyasu come back if he's fit as well, or what would you want to see Arsenal do? Let me know on who else you want me to also go on throughout this game, because I think there's a lot of interesting players. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please look at my reaction to the game in the video below, and if not, I'll see you in the next one.